Dear Sir David, we hope you are faring well in these turbulent times. There's no need to stray far from our doorsteps these days to know our world is unravelling in front of us. But sometimes our doorsteps can bring friendship also. So here we are.
We are a group of Extinction Rebellion activists, and we bring you this letter to ask you for help.
For decades, we've enjoyed your films and TV programmes. We share your deep concern for the living planet and the need you've expressed for immediate and decisive action to tackle the climate and ecological emergency.
Many of us in XR have spoken recently about the similarities in your use of language in your films, A Life on Our Planet and Extinction, the Facts, with our own Extinction Talk, on which Extinction Rebellion was founded.
Non-violent civil disobedience has a long history of bringing about swift transformational change. Breaking the law was integral to the achievement of the suffragettes, Gandhi's salt marches, the civil rights movements, and the Polish and East German democracy movement, to name only a few.
All who stood were scorned by society during their time. The majority of them mischaracterised as extremists and aggressors and worse. But stand they did, and the world is a better place for their sacrifice. We owe our freedoms to the courage of those who broke the law and risked their lives and freedoms before us.
You yourself have said we cannot be radical enough when dealing with climate change, but your recent comments to the BBC where you said you have to be careful that you don't break the law and that Extinction Rebellion should question whether their actions are political and sensible suggests that you believe otherwise.
We urge you now to rethink this position and recognise the role non-violent civil disobedience plays when communicating to your global audience. With your unique position and influence, we fear your comments are contributing to the erasure of the voices and sacrifices of frontline earth protectors around the world.
The UN's Special Rapporteur for Indigenous Peoples estimates that Indigenous peoples are protecting 80% of the world's biodiversity. They know they have no choice but to break the law and take action to protect their communities, their habitats, and the biodiversity that sustains all life. They face violence, arrest, imprisonment, physical mutilation, and murder on a daily basis. Much of this violence is sanctioned by governments who are at the heel of corporate power.
Global Witness reports that 2019 was the deadliest year on record for environmental defenders. At least 212 were killed protecting land and water from mining, agribusiness, and fossil fuel interests. That's over 4 environmentalists murdered every week.
For our part, Extinction Rebellion and the school strikers created the space in 2019 for the climate and ecological emergency to reach the height of global awareness.
Extinction Rebellion was voted the #1 worldwide educator and influencer on climate change at COP25, ahead of Greenpeace at 13th and WWF at 23rd. Following our April rebellion in 2019, the UK Parliament became the first in the world to declare a climate emergency.
This was achieved because many thousands of ordinary people risked arrest for this cause. We are not hooligans or extremists, here out of a joy for breaking the law.
We are mothers afraid for our children's future. We are doctors and nurses who recognize the interconnected health and climate crisis. We are young people sick and tired of being sold false promises. We are teachers, bus drivers, office workers, rabbis, priests, writers, artists, emergency workers, scientists and more.
Many of us are lifelong campaigners who have remained within the law for decades, going on marches and signing petitions, and we have watched in dismay as the crisis has only gotten worse.
Those engaged in the fight for a livable planet, whether those just doing their part, the TV personalities, or the activists committed to non-violent direct action, are a part of an ecology of change, and the relationship between us makes up one symbiosis. Not one single element of these will succeed independently, but together we can create one united revolutionary movement.
Nor will simply urging people to make incremental changes to their daily lives be enough now. Although, of course, we encourage them when possible. It's crucial that governments are held to account for continuing their ecocidal activity and propping up destructive industries that are killing us.
We are so grateful for the part you are playing in the struggle to protect life on Earth, and ask you to work with us, not against us, and recognise that we all have a role to play in the times to come.
We are hand-delivering this letter to you in the hope of reaching you directly. We have bought a gift of a non-violent direct action starter pack that contains everything a person needs to understand how to engage in civil disobedience with Extinction Rebellion. We hope you find value in this.
You will also find with it an olive tree representing peace, adorned with photos of environmentalists who have been killed by governments around the world protecting precious habitats.
We have included our names, addresses and an email address below should you wish to respond.
We would love to speak to you further about the above and begin a vital conversation about how we can achieve change during these dark times when all ideas promoting peace and justice must be on the table.